Tonight, police seized phones of NDC Communications Director, accusing him of causing fear and panic after he was picked up at Peace FM this morning. Sami Jemfi and the party have been fighting back.
Cannot be intimidated. We are on course to rescue this country from the hands of those who oppress us. No amount of intimidation, no amount of harassment can cower us into silence.
We'll hear from his lawyers after he was granted bail. Plus, in the last hour, President Akufo-Addo has picked nomination forms to contest in the presidential primaries of the NPP as he sets his eyes on the second term in office.
I'm hoping to be the candidate of the ruling party here in Ghana. And I'm hoping that this year, he in February and myself in December, we will both be successful.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Also brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting. Ready.
Some of us are fearless. We cannot be intimidated. We are on course to rescue this country from the hands of those who oppress us.
He has just been granted bail, accused of forgery and causing fear and panic, but that has not stopped the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sami Jemfi, from fighting back. He was arrested today on the premises of Peace FM just after appearing on their morning show. Journalists is learning his phones have been seized. The party is accusing the police of intimidation and the government of terrorizing its members to create a distraction. My colleague Parker Wilson has been at the police headquarters all day following this story for us and is in the studio with me. For those who may just be catching up on this story for the very first time, what happened in the morning?
Right, so this morning we picked up information that Sami Jemfi has been arrested by 5 BNI officials. Now my source told me that the officials saw Sami Jemfi on TV, was on UTV's at the change room, and then they waited for him at the car park. So after the show that he was going to his vehicle, that was where they picked him up. Now,
and they say that these were plainclothes officials. I mean, that's what the eyewitnesses have been reporting.
Yeah, they tell me that they were wearing black uniform, but not police uniform.
And that they believe that they were from the BNI.
And they believe they were from the BNI. In fact, one of them said that he confronted him, and then they said that they were BNI officials. So he concluded indeed they were from BNI. And they took him straight to the police headquarters where he was interrogated.
Okay, and you followed up there. What happened when you got there? Where was he and how was he treated? What was the concern? I see from the videos that there were a lot of party officials were there as well.
That's correct. Evans, I got there around 11 a.m. In fact, I think I got there. There were no party officials there. There were just the national chairman and the deputy national communication officer and the lawyers of Sami Jemfi. And I can mention Tony Lita, Marita Biwa-Propon, and Baba Kamal. They were there, including Dominic Ayeni. So they were there at the moment. Then, within 30 minutes, I decided to go and check the gate because I heard the police people saying that they've heard party supporters massing up at the entrance, and so they need to quickly deploy men there, beef up the security to prevent any party official enter the premises. So I went to check, and indeed, hundreds of party supporters had gathered at the entrance demanding the release of Sami Jemfi. I went back to ask the national executives as to whether they were the ones who mobilized the supporters to be there, but they told me that, well, they heard the news went viral on social media, and that is why the supporters are there to show solidarity to Sami Jemfi.
I see. Now, let's bring the background to this, why this has happened. I mean, this followed a complaint filed to the police, specifically, we understand, by the President's Secretary.
Yeah, Executive Secretary.
Right. That's Mr. Nana Asante Bedeto, that Sami Jemfi allegedly had forged some documents, and this started off as a cybercrime allegation at the time. Sami Jemfi was first invited. This was around December. He honored that invitation. Subsequently, he declined to go further because he had filed a case in court.
Yes, because when he was invited by the police at the time last month, the police were demanding for his gadgets, the phones and laptops and other electronic gadgets, and he declined. In fact, he challenged them. That was why he went to court.
A district court granted it, and then he challenged it at the High Court,
Right.
claiming that the district court didn't have the authority to do so, which became an issue. Eventually, he said, I will not cooperate because the matter
is in court, and it's still pending as we
court.
speak at the moment.
Yeah, and initially, it was the cybercrime unit of the CID that were looking into it and had invited him. This story had gone quiet since he said he will not honor it until today, when
this morning
he was picked up. You put these questions to the party's communications director. I mean, because the case is in court, how come he's been arrested? And he also disclosed to you that his phone's also been seized today.
In fact, today we were told that in the morning, the reason why they actually kept long in the interrogation was that the police were still demanding for the phones, and Sammy Jenfi was resisting, and later his lawyers advised him that, well, go ahead and give them the phones so that we can grant you the bill. We can listen to Kakri some more.
Yes, he surrendered the phone. That is what is important.
No, but as a lawyer, you tell me that the case is in court, in the High Court.
Yes.
And yet the police picked him up.
Well,
what's been the argument?
When the case comes up for hearing,
Right.
we will tell the court exactly what has happened.
But what do you make of his arrest, by the way, sir?
I think it's wrongful, but let us wait for the court to decide this matter.
So what is the party going to do going forward?
Right now, we haven't sat down to decide, but we will soon decide and then let the public know what we will do.
Do we know the charges leveled against him?
Causing fear and panic.
That's the charge?
That is the essence of the charge.
Causing fear and panic?
Yes.
But what exactly did he post on his Facebook wall?
Unfortunately, I cannot recall immediately, so I cannot tell you. But he's supposed to have said something that was supposed not to be true, and that he's the author of that statement that is untrue, and that is why they picked him up. It is significant to note that it was under the Attorney Generalship of the now President Akufo-Addo that these things were abolished as a law. Unfortunately, under his presidency, these things are coming back. Even more, especially after the passage of the Right to Information Act. I do not know what he gains by terrorizing or intimidating those who disagree with him. But we'll move forward and see what happens.
Well, you think this is victimization?
Yes, it is. Just clear victimization.
No, but if he published something that could destabilize the country,
do you have to bring
government and the police have the right to pick him up.
The police to a radio station and pick him up when we know that somebody threatened the journalist, and then later that journalist was murdered, and then the police went to his house to interrogate him.
The national chairman also led a delegation there, and he linked this somehow to the fight against the Electoral Commission's decision to compile a new voters register.
Yes, Evans. In fact, the national chairman was quite interesting. You know, he has a case in court himself. So he was in court when he heard that Samuel Jenfi has been picked up, and my source tells me he and his lawyer left the court and quickly came to the CID headquarters. Now, when I spoke to him, in fact, he addressed the supporters and clearly said that the party is going to remain focused. He knows that this clearly is a distraction because the party has been fighting the Electoral Commission and kicking against the compilation of a new voters register.
Where are you going? We will start when you come in. We will start when you come in. We will start when you
There's no problem at all. As far as we are concerned, we were represented by the best of legal brains that you can get in this country. And the Attorney we have gone through the process, the due process. Whatever they wanted us to do, we have satisfied them. So Sammy has been released, and so there's no problem. We will go and continue to do there's no need for panic. We are not going to any direct activity. We are remaining focused on our agenda, and our agenda is that Ghana needs a new presidency and not a new voter presidency.
It appears, at least on the surface, that for Sammy Jenfi himself, this hasn't affected him at all. I mean, he spoke at the grounds, but he's currently on a sister station as Empire FM.
Yes, Evans. In fact, when he was descending, I was trying to capture him working with the chairman, and he said that I should rather take a picture of him smiling and not a video. so clearly you can say that it hasn't affected him. And when he also addressed the supporters, he clearly indicated that he's fearless and no amount of harassment will cow him into silence.
I would like to thank the rank and file officers who have gathered here. I'm most happy and excited about the solidarity they have come to show. I want to encourage them that some of us are fearless. We cannot be intimidated. We are on course to rescue this country from the hands of those who oppress us. No amount of intimidation, no amount of harassment can cower us into silence. So in the coming days, my lawyers will be speaking to the media on the details of the issue. I just to assure all, sympathizers, beloved friends, that I, Sami Jenfi, I am not a criminal. I have never committed a crime, and no amount of concoction or fabrication from the black man can intimidate or silence me. Thank you.
Edu Jitomaklo is one of the lawyers for Mr. Sami Jenfi, and he joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Tamaklo, thank you for your time here on Top Story. Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Tamaklo. We don't appear to have him. We'll try and get him on the line for you quickly. Let's clarify the charges against him also tonight and the conditions for the bail. We'll hear from Sami Jenfi himself. But Parker, there was some brief incident today also involving the UTV
reporter. Evans, we picked up the information that he was arrested at the UTV premises. According to the supporters who were there, they said Sami Jenfi earlier was on the morning show on TV3. The police didn't pick him up, and he went to UTV to do the show. That was when they picked up. So they were alleging that the UTV had called the police to come and pick him up.
I see.
And so when the chairman and Sami Jenfi were addressing the media, we all rushed there, including the UTV reporter. But the supporters prevented him, pushing him actually, and saying that we won't allow any UTV reporter to cover the event. The police, at some point, were just looking. But when the argument got heated, they then intervened and said that this is their premises. The supporters should restrain, else they will arrest them, and quickly drag the UTV reporter to a safe place. Then also, the national, some of the national executives, Ed McBana, the youth organizer, also intervened and asked the supporters not to heckle the reporter because he's only a reporter. He's there to do his job and cover what is happening. He is not the fault or the reason why Sami Jenfi was picked up this morning, so they should leave him. But the supporters were insisting that they were not going to allow him cover the thing. So the police eventually had to drive away the supporters and allow the UTV reporter do his work.
Mr. Tamaklo is back on the line. Hello, Mr. Tamaklo. Thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Evans, good evening.
Good evening, and that's one of the lawyers for Sami Jenfi. So, can you confirm if he was charged and with what?
Well, Sami has not been charged. He has just been informed that he has been arrested and the reason for the arrest. He has not been charged.
We heard from Kakra Samwa that his phones were also seized, or he handed them over. I mean, what's the story on that?
As fully aware, I heard you earlier narrate the background. As you are aware, the police had earlier approached the district courts. The district court gave them certain orders. Those orders are today the subject of a human rights application before the courts. Subsequent to that, we have filed an application for injunction. I personally ensured that the Attorney General, together with the IGP, were served with those court processes. Now, on the 24th day of December 2019, I personally went to the Deputy Director CID, Nana Sastraku, Mr. Chinebua, and handed him a letter based on the instructions from our client, and also proceeded to the Director of Cybercrime, a senior police officer by name Gustav Youngson. So at all material times, we had informed the police of all the processes that we have filed in court. And today, when this matter came up, again, we brought to the attention of the police that they are basically acting in a manner to overreach whatever decision that the court may come out with, because even though we filed these processes and ensure that they were served, as we speak, they have not entered any appearance or filed any processes to challenge whatever it is that we have filed before the court. So today, when having demonstrated this courtesy to the police, they had to now go to the studios of UTV after the show to effect the arrest. We felt that it was a regrettable law, at least as far as this whole idea of rule of law is concerned. And so at the meeting, in the interrogation room with the police, we made it very clear to them our displeasure. They also indicated that, well, they will do what they have to do. The court can also do. We can go ahead if we so want to cite them for contempt. That's our own. I mean, that's how low we have all, the principal agency that is supposed to enforce the laws of this country has decided to resort to self-help, has decided to resort to, whatever pleases them, a certain level of utility, regrettably so. But at the end of the day, we said, look, contrary to everything that we have filed, we want to place it on record, which we stated in the statement we gave to the police, that even though we are giving the phone, we are doing it quite clearly on the basis of the pressure and intimidation coming from them.
So it's on that basis that you surrender the phones to the police?
Yes, so we actually put it in our statement to the police that we are doing this contrary to that, because ordinarily we are not supposed to help the police in disobeying whatever processes that we have filed in the courts. We believe that the police, headed by a lawyer, the IGP headed by a lawyer, the CID headed by a lawyer, at least we all respect the sanctity of what the court processes will be. Contrary to this, the police decided that, look, they want to do whatever pleases them. In order not to engage them in any prolonged battle over this issue, grudgingly, we decided to give the phone to them. In any case, we pointed out to them, we have nothing, absolutely nothing to hide. And in fact, if you look at the basis of the human rights application that we filed, we indicated that the orders coming from the district court were overly broad, and that if the police were minded in seeking this order, they ought to be specific as to what information exactly that they want for the phone of my client.
You mean they have not told you why they want the phones?
No. So that this whole order does not look like a fishing expedition. A man who sets out to accuse someone and now begins to look for evidence to back that accusation. We didn't want to engage in that completely untidy and unruly conduct with the police, regrettably.
Let's go to this, the fundamental allegation and the complaint that there was there's a Facebook post by Sami Jemfi that
in fact, so the records will be clear. Even today, when we appeared before, the first question I recall asking is, who is the complainant? The police clearly told us that they received this complaint from the executive secretary to the president, Nana Santibedietu, from the office of the president, and that it is on the basis of that complaint that they are proceeding with it. We felt that if you are making an allegation that I have published A, B, C, D, and that the intent of that was to cause fear and panic, the most decent thing, with respect, to do under the circumstance is to confront us with what you claim I have published. You are now asking me to give you my Facebook IDs for you to now go and look for what you claim I have. I mean, we felt that the kind of rules, the engagement we have today under our 1992 Constitution does not encourage even an accused person or a suspect to self-incriminate. And so that you come to me, give me something so I can get evidence in order to press charges against you. Confront us with what you claim, quote unquote, has been forged. Confront us with what you claim has been falsely publicized. That is what you do in every decent society. In any case, our Lord Jesus Christ had the benefit of confronting the Pharisees when they made those allegations before him, before Pontius Pilate. That is what is done in every decent society. It's unfortunate if you look at the Gestapo manner in which Sammy Gyamfi arrest was effected at the very entrance of Peace FM, that building. It tells you the regrettable low that we have all got into. Maybe the next time when I come to the studios of Joy FM for Newsfar, the police may just lay in ambush to effect my arrest. So much for the people who believe in the rule of law and free speech.
Let me ask you, how does this affect the substantive case you have at the High Court then?
No, I mean, we have made it clear in the statement given by Mr. Gyamfi. So tomorrow the police will not go and tell the court that even what it is that we are asking for, it has been overreached by way of the impunity demonstrated by the police. We made it clear that we are not party to that. We are going to proceed. Let the court pronounce on it. It will become a precedent. Why? And I told the police officers, today as we speak, there is a senior police officer who is to criminal trial. Correct. And so when you do anything, this business relative to the rule of law, you must always know that you are doing it and tomorrow it will come after you. That is what I want those police officers to know. That tomorrow, the coin can always flip. And when it flip, always remember that whatever it is that you have set in motion will come after you.
And very briefly, did the phones that you surrendered today, did the police ask for passcode access to it? I'm assuming it's locked.
Well, as far as the engagements were concerned, they never did. We gave it to them. I'm sure they have their own means of getting the information that they want. We will oblige them, but we'll make it very clear that in a society that we believe in the rule of law, police officers should not be encouraged to engage in fishing expedition where you have no evidence at all, but you want to get access to people's phone in order to now get evidence to substantiate allegations that you have made against other persons within the Republic. We should not encourage that because it can happen to anybody.
I'm grateful that you could join me. That is Eduji Tamaklo, is lawyer for one of the lawyers for Sammy Gyamfi, who tonight has been granted bail. Well, he says he wasn't charged, but he was arrested. I mean, and of course, it raises additional questions that will get clarity from the police as far as that is concerned. But also today, and details of this on Newsnight, the other political story. Well, this is the first one. Had everything to do with the police itself and the accusations of political victimization. But this one has to do with the President of the Republic picking up nomination forms to contest in the party's primaries. Parker, you were there. The President himself was there?
No. The President, I'm told, is in Kumasi at the moment. And so the Director of Research at the Jubilee House, and also he's the senior advisor to the President, Victor Newman, actually picked the form on behalf of the President this afternoon at the party's headquarters at Asylum Down. And so the General Secretary of the party, John Bodu, was the one who received the check, the banker's draft, and of course gave the forms to Victor Newman.
How much was it?
20,000. No,
that's presidential. I think
the presidential nomination form.
The nomination form.
Yeah,
but the filing fee.
So this is just picking the form.
Yeah.
So he paid. Yeah,
I think it's 200,000.
200,000 when we pay the filing. Yeah, that is when you clearly indicate that you are ready for the contest.
And there's a big question about whether or not somebody is going to challenge the president.
Yes, in fact, it's a question I asked the General Secretary himself already we know this 4 More for Nana campaign has been going on. And Evans, you remember when the party went to the trade fair, when they organized the national conference, it was all over the place. 4 More for Nana, and you see their fingers 4 More for Nana. So I asked him that, this 4 More for Nana campaign is catching up. A lot of party members are talking about it. Is the party ready to allow individuals contest the president, knowing very well that they are saying 4 More for Nana? Wouldn't that create an unplaying field for a person who wants to contest the president? But he said no, the 4 More for Nana is not from the party, but the supporters who want Nana to contest to go for another term.
Well, Parker, we'll hear more on News 9 in 2 minutes. We'll be hearing from the party's general secretary. We'll be hearing from some of the key individuals who are back in the president's bid to go again. We'll hear from the president himself, who has been talking today about his ambition to go a second term and to contest in the primaries, and find out whether or not there are any challenges in the primaries that the president will have to contend with. Stay with us. You'll enjoy 99.7 FM.